For those who don't know, there used to be a LittleBigPlanet fan game in the works that was supposed to bring the LBP experience to PC. Although saying that it was in the works is probably already a stretch. More on that later. Anyways, the higher ups at Sony found out about it and the project was cancelled, never seeing the light of day. Nowadays, there's rumors going around that this fan game was actually never scrapped, but that its assets were switched out and the project was turned into the game we now know as Restitched. There's no proof of this whatsoever, but I admit, the fact that Trixel chose to call their game Restitched of all things really doesn't help their case here. Halston, the current creative director at Trixel and one of the only members left who was involved with the fan game, has tried to shed some light on the situation on multiple occasions. To prevent having to repeat himself, Halston made a post over at their official Discord that he'd hope people will see when they search here. And honestly, him saying that is the only reason I feel confident about bringing up this topic. I like to bring more awareness to what Halston shared here, but however you decide to interpret his words, I leave up to you. Claim number 1. The fan game was cancelled by Sony on good terms. Halston shares that they were nice to us about it. Prior to the takedown, we were communicating with Sony officials actively, including general permission, logo guidelines, etc. The order came from higher up the chain at Sony Europe's legal department, unbeknownst to the people we were communicating through. It was to protect their IP and the commercial presenting use of their trademarks. If you don't enforce it in one case, you lose power to enforce it in others. So yeah, there you have it. According to Halston, Sony actually wanted this fan game to happen, going as far as to actively support the project. But due to legal reasons, Sony's hand was forced and they had to send over a cease and desist to retain ownership of the brand. Halston continues and clarifies that a cease and desist is a formal documented warning and not a lawsuit. What's the difference, you ask? Well, it's actually pretty significant. A lawsuit is an enforcement, an official legal action filed in court. That's extremely serious pineapple business. That'd be Sony saying, "We are suing you for the damages caused as a result of you using our copyrighted material." But that's not what happened. Instead, Sony sent a cease and desist, which is just a formal request. Something like, "Hey, stop using our trademarks, please." It was unfortunately necessary and we knew of the risk. The game announcement blew up quickly, more than any of us thought. Claim number 2. The people who worked on the fan game and those currently working on Restitched are different people. Mostly. According to Halston, it was half a decade ago now, and the team that made the fan game was largely different than the team making Restitched. Aside from like 3 people. Considering that today Trixel consists of around 20 devs, I'd say that's definitely something to take into account. Hell, apparently several of Trixel's developers have actually never even touched the LittleBigPlanet game. Claim number 3. The fan game and Restitched are 2 different projects entirely. Yes, we did completely scrap that project and make a new game instead. It's not a continuation or reskin despite belief. We simply always wanted to make a game in this genre, and an LBP fan project was the logical but maybe naive choice. No, the fan game wouldn't have been good in my opinion. It was duct taped together with no resources, and we didn't even expect levels to be shared in-game because we couldn't use Steam Workshop. Basically, it seems like Halston is saying that the fan game was just a proof of concept rather than a solid plan, which would mean that the thought of Restitched being a simple asset swap is a bit silly, as there hardly even was a game to swap things for. Halston wraps up his comments by saying that personally, the directors had dreams for a teddy bear game at some point anyway, since it's appealing to everyone but underused in gaming, in my opinion. The Restitched name is based on the original story and art style we came up with ages ago and isn't related to any other subliminal message or project. This is why it's carried over through the fan project and this game, despite the story idea changing a bit over time. I want to close off this topic by sharing one more comment Halston shared on a different occasion that I'd say is pretty relevant. He says the following: "I always have to be very careful with how I say things because I know a lot of people from certain communities will take my words as an official statement and assume we hate LBP or are trying to play it safe. It's neither of those things. We just simply want to remove the bias from our minds and do things in a way that feels right to us. And for a new audience entirely. If you're a fan of LBP, you're more than welcome to enjoy what we're building. But this project isn't aiming to be a replacement, successor, or a parody with those titles. I hope everyone can understand this. And there you have it. So while Restitched isn't being developed with the goal of being a LittleBigPlanet alternative, it's clear as day that the larger part of the LBP fandom has been following along with great interest. But whether or not Restitched is the savior the community has been looking for, that's something I discuss further in this video. Thanks for watching and see you on the next one. Bye bye.